There he goes. There he goes again. I suck at singing, so I'm sorry if I choose to edit this to where I include this section. I'm Scott, and that was Marcus, and, yeah. I don't have much to say when I'm alone. I've gotten to the point where I'm just comfortable being alone, so I just don't fill the silence with anything. In fact, I kind of like the silence. When I'm actually sitting here talking to Mark, I'm just like, fuck, I hate this. Why am I doing this with this asshole? It's like, I'm so excited to record now, Mark. I wasn't talking shit at all. Just let's do this.
All right. That's our theme song.
It sounds a little too close to Jurassic Park.
Yes.
I almost wish our song could actually be the emergency broadcast system. That's our opening. This is a test of the like that dull guy just talking into the mic. Just that's it. All right. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Great Scott Marcus. I'm Scott. That one's Mark, and we've got graphics now. Look at that. We're moving forward.
Nice little background. Looks like a pinstripe suit, but.
We're actually recording on one of my suit sleeves. I'm not gonna lie. I just drew letters on it. I mean, look at how good my handwriting looks. That's not bad.
Fabulous. Great penmanship. Great penmanship.
So before we get started with the weekly, what might eventually just become called the weekly ramble, because oftentimes we do just kind of ramble on and on and on and on.
Rambler's ready to ramble.
Just a few updates. Might be changing the name of the podcast. The reason for this is because we're moving along a lot faster than we predicted. We mentioned this the last time that we might be looking at including more shows. One of our friends invested in a camera to do another show with us. So we're either going to have an encompassing name for a network of shows, so Great Scott Marcus might stick around as the name, or we might change it to align fonts and just, align a lot of the things that we're going to get churning here. We have worked on our mic audios.
So hopefully this time it's a lot better than last time.
As we keep saying, this is a work-in-progress style show. We're going to continue to try to produce content for you to get better and better. And that's basically the update on Great Scott Marcus for right now. And hell, eventually we might even have more people on screen here with us. So
that'd be fun.
We're not sure. We're not sure. We definitely eventually want guests. But it might just become a 3, 4, sometimes 5 person podcast. I think one of the Jeez, I didn't know I was boring you that much, man.
It's not you. It's
Woo!
me.
All right, I'm done. Apparently, I suck at this. So
it's been a long weekend.
It's been a long weekend, and we actually are including some of that in our topics for this week. And just to kind of keep us honest and keep you guys on it when we're starting to just ramble about whatever we want, let's go ahead and get our weekly topics started. These are just things we've been thinking about throughout the week, and we just want to ramble about them. So that's what we're going to do. For me, one of the things I've really been wanting to talk about is the way gamers talk. This isn't everybody. Some of you are very articulate individuals, but when I go into a game like The Division, or since The Division doesn't have text typing, going into Warframe and seeing somebody type out, "Is it good?" Come on.
Is cheese good? Is the sun good?
This is always something. Yeah, this is always something that is just comparable and perspective, and it's just have a little more. Put a little more brain behind it, as Louis C.K. said in his piece about Trump. We're not going to go into politics.
No politics.
We will have a political topic one time. Oh, I went the wrong way. There we go.
There you go.
It was just a delayed reaction, guys. He actually did stab me. Anyway, while I'm bleeding here, to get back on topic, look at that, gamer language. So yeah, put a little brain behind it, like be a little more articulate, like. So what would you compare this, what would you compare this weapon to that Zur or Barrow Couture is selling this week, or who knows, there might even be a Division vendor, who will come every week or weekend or bi-weekly and be like, look at all my shit, and he rips open his coat and there's no weapons and he's just nude. How you doing, stranger? What are you buying?
At a high price.
What are you selling? Come back.
Best vendor in video game history.
Anytime. Ever. Indeed. And so, for me, especially when I see, like, some people commenting on, that's worthless. Like, well, apparently not, because what you're commenting on is my build for this weapon, and I'm clearly using it, and I'm a clan leader, and I lead people on raids, and, I know what I'm doing. And it's not so much the issue that you actually went as far as to say that my build had something worthless within it, but you're using a context too broadly. You're saying a lot of these things are worthless because it seems cool, but it's not when you're just using it so broadly. There are things that are fucking worthless in a lot of games because they just they're too inefficient, or they're too unwieldy, or yada yada yada. A lot of Destiny nerfs made things worthless. Go ahead.
I was just say, like, I feel like if you are going to ask, like, if something's good or not, I feel like the masses generally can speak for it. Read up, do some research, forums, videos, and even like some of the worthless stuff, people will still post videos and be like,
this amazing,
hey, you
this
still do something with it.
Thing that connects to the internet. I know not everybody has them, but it's just like, oh man, I can just do a quick search on this thing, and instead of, like, is it good? You can look at the stats and actually say, like, wow, 25% crit and 25% status. Even though it's got a small clip, like, that's going to put out a lot of critical rounds with an element.
You said small clip.
And so, yeah, I'm finding that gamer language is really starting to get under my skin. I know this has been a thing for quite some time that other people have spoken out about, but I don't mind putting, my hat in that ring, or my ticket in that hat, while I toss that hat in the ring.
Ooh. Ringception.
Thank you. Tossing it inception.
Ooh.
So
that sounds.
Yeah, just a bit more articulation, guys. Like, it says something about you when you make statements like that. It speaks to you as a player. So, I'm just asking you to represent yourself better as a player. If you want to be somebody, taken a bit more seriously, or, you don't just want to be casual Joe who jumps between games every week.
Like me.
No, you don't. You even you focus up a lot better than, a lot of, these people who just need to expand their vocabulary. And so, it's just kind of like, well, what would you compare it to? Her, because it's your opinion. You are not a community. You're going to like, things in games that other people don't. And if you don't, then you should probably give up, because you've basically just become a hive mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a real problem.
It's had a flashback of, like, Modern Warfare 2. When we play with Devin, he was always a guy carrying a shield. And it's just like, I would never be caught dead in that, but, like, I could never be like, oh, it's awful and useless, because, we've seen somebody in action just tear shit up with that and a knife. You know what I mean? It's just really how you play your game, and if you're curious about something, then experiment with it.
And going off the Modern Warfare 2 reference, like, there were also those players who would just constantly use the auto shotty, and it was annoying, and it was just kind of like, the thing is overpowered, and clearly what you're doing is you think the game is all about getting kills, as opposed to using a variety of weapons to get a variety of kill streaks and have fun in a variety of ways. And if you recall, it reached a point where there were less auto-shotty users. Now, this was either because people were countering it, which is a likely circumstance, or those players were gone. They dropped off. And I think it's a bit of both. And, The question is really what kind of a gamer you want to be. And if you want to be that person who, makes those statements, that's on you. But if you want to be taken more seriously, not be that guy who's just like, tell me everything I need to know, then, yeah, just different contexts. Tell us about you. What weapon do you like? What style do you like to play as? Then, maybe if you're a support, this weapon's for you. So let's go ahead and move right into the division then. Because, gamer language into games.
Well, I think this kind of started when, you had seen people already having these reviews, not even reviews, just statements on the division less than 24 hours after it came out, like, is it worth it? Is it good? Like all these dumb open-ended questions, and that, at least to me,
it took about a week for most for reviews to start popping. But even
was a week enough time, anyways.
Even or not a week. Like I think some popped on Saturday, some are going to be popping on Monday, and it's just or Tuesday, and it's just like a week.
It's just not enough time, unless you literally just spend all your hours during your waking day playing the game. Then maybe you can formulate a good enough opinion. But I feel like, at least I feel like, from my perspective, that I'm not going to read those opinions. I'm still experiencing it. I'm 10 hours in, and whatever anybody says obviously I listen to you because, we play together all the time. But I'm not going to be on IGN or whatever tomorrow and be like, oh my God, this person says it sucks, I'm going to stop playing. That's silly.
As adult gamers, we've definitely started to reach a point where reviews are really starting to not matter to us at all. It's really just about a circle of opinions, or opinions in general, as opposed to numbers, negatives and positives and scores and all that crap. And yeah, as you were saying, like these sites that are actually popping reviews and analyses and impressions, it's just like I actually checked last night because my friend was asking about it. I was just like, I'm not 30 yet, and I think I've put about this amount of hours in, and I checked. I'm at minimum 46 hours in.
Wow.
And let me be clear for those who have just started watching. I live in pain. My leg is killing me today. Mark chose to go get himself killed today. That's on him. So we're, obviously a bit unenergetic, but that might be a good thing. So that gives me basically I have a lot of time to kill. So I kill it using video games and digital entertainment, watching shows, and doing personal works on the side while I while we try to progressively get me better. So yeah, I'm 48 hours in, and I'm just reaching 30. Granted, I've done my exploring, I've dabbled in the dark zone, but that's a lot of time. And a couple of things. One, leaps and bounds above Destiny. You could clear the Destiny story in a couple of days of maybe 6 or 8 hours at a time. So like 12 to 18 hours. Unimpressive. And then you'd be at 30 only for maybe 2 to 4 hours after that. So very impressive that it's taken this long to get to 30. Very impressive that purple weapons are already populating my gear slots. That
really?
There isn't going to be this freaking treadmill after I hit 30. I'm already on the treadmill. I'm already getting the stuff. I have weapons that are like 27, 28 that I'm like, I'm going to be keeping this for a while until I find something that's very close to replace it, because there are, these awesome perks on it that I want to replace with 30 equipment, but that 30 equipment has to have something close, or one of the other pieces has to have a perk too, like gaining 8% health after a kill. That's a huge stat, unlike Destiny, where the stats were kind of crap. And this is important because your health is in 3 segments. So you get a kill if you're only at, like the first segment of health, you start reviving into the second segment of health. Now, the second part of that is, why are you reviewing this game? Like, 30 is basically just the beginning, where you're really going to start getting into the gear. There are these yellow enemies walking around with like a gang of people who are over-leveled, and that says to me that I think if I assault that gang when I'm 30, that guy with the yellow health bar probably has a chance to drop a yellow weapon. So,
Have you come
like,
across any yellow weapons yet?
I saw them back in the beta when you go to the safe
Yeah.
house and you can buy them in the dark zone. But I want to, like, I want to see them drop. I want to know where they drop from.
Right.
And I think these enemies remind me of Borderlands enemies, where it's just like a super
Nice.
enemy appears and you have
Mm-hmm.
to fight them, and they have a chance to drop that weapon. So it's like you haven't even seen the, like the exotic or the extreme weapons or whatever they're going to
Mm-hmm.
call them. I know they have a name for them. I don't give a
Yeah, I
fuck.
forgot the name of them
I don't
too.
give a fuck. But
Purple and gold. That's all that
purple and
matters.
gold, they're gold, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of like you haven't even like kind of grasped what the late game is, and you want to put out a review for this game. That is antiquated. Um, and before I let Mark go into his opinion, that's a good time to just say we're going to do what we're going to possibly refer to as a report. I'm probably going to reach about 100 hours. Mark's probably going to reach 40 to 60 hours, and we're going to
Soon.
report on that. And it
Yeah.
might not get as many views, but at least you, the viewers out there, will have a proper analysis of the Division, the late
Hmm.
game.
Thoroughly enjoying it. I find myself every day just wanting to play it, and sadly, I'm probably not gonna get around to it today. But um,
Busy life.
yeah, busy life, unfortunately. Well, I'm also kind of putting it on myself too, so I have really myself to blame. But still, it's a great game. I want to keep coming back to it. I want to see what else it has to offer. Um, the weapons are nice. The graphics are pretty. The environment, I think, is just exquisite. I love,
Oh
just
man, the
starting
environment.
gameplay and it's just like a blizzard and there's fog, or it could be clear day and it's gorgeous atmosphere. Um, I feel like the team put a lot of hours into the environments and the atmosphere.
They
Um,
cut down on the size of the slice of New York or Manhattan Island they'd be
mhm.
doing to put it more to scale. And wow, the
Well, it's huge anyways. It's like you don't
hmm
need to like. I'm sure you could have more, and I'm almost wondering if they are gonna maybe with an expansion DLC. Well, we've got the season passes. If that's gonna expand some zones.
we'll see. And in what will be some of our newer videos, we'll start to cover, like how we want Ubisoft to address this game. So I think that basically wraps up the Division. But
Yeah.
the Division being a big franchise, uh, one thing I will touch on is I really hope Ubisoft does treat this just like a game. They put out the expansions, and then that's it. Like, that was the Division. Look for a sequel.
Hmm.
I don't want them to be Bungie. We'll cover that in another video. But I think this will also kind of tie into that. And you wanted to
Movie
bring up
franchises.
movie franchises, and I think, this will kind of touch on the same idea of stop
Yeah.
fucking up.
In general, well, the main topic that we're going to be discussing is 10 Cloverfield Lane. And we both went to see it this weekend. Both excited about it. We'll talk more into it in a little bit, but um, there's a preview for, I think it's Captain America, like the new Captain America Civil War. And it seems interesting, but then, I'm over it. I'm so over these Marvel movies, like, the Iron Man, Avengers. Yeah, they were nice and fresh at first, but it's like all the same characters are in all the same movies. It's just like, what's the point of like having different titles and different protagonists? Like, I don't know, just call it like, I don't know, Marvel superheroes 1, 2, 5, 12.
We're
You
very
know,
we're very much on the same page with this. Like, we get it.
it's
Like,
just so overdone.
it's overdone, but I do at least respect that. Like, man, for the comic book nerds out there, like, this is a dream, and Marvel
Hmm.
and DC are still hitting with those audiences, and I respect that.
Yeah,
But
and they're
like,
pulling huge numbers and like they're greatly reviewed movies, which is good for Marvel. And doesn't Disney own them now, anyways?
but yeah, Disney owns Marvel and
So
Star Wars now.
basically, good for them. They're making money off of it. Cool. They're at least they have still good actors and solid content. It's just I have no appeal to see them ever again. Maybe Guardians 2
Everybody's
comes
going
out.
on about Deadpool, and I'm just like, I don't care. I know it's an R superhero movie, or
Hmm.
not even kind of a superhero movie, an anti-hero movie, and there's a lot of cool reasons to see it. I don't care. I'm saturated, and I don't want
Oh
to
yeah.
oversaturate myself, like they're doing with the market. And yes, there is an audience, because obviously they would pump their freaking brakes if they realize, like, man, our numbers are tanking in the theaters.
Right.
But they're not. But that's the thing. I think they should have started pumping their brakes already. They should have said like, "Hey, let's wait a couple years for a Cap movie." And
Sorry,
then
I'm getting a phone call right now.
is it important?
Yeah.
So
Hindsight's 2020.
getting back to it, Mark had a phone
Yes.
call.
Yeah, sorry
I
about
lost
that.
it. Oh, I got him. Fucking.
Eh.
Um, have a slap fight, man. Please, please. Yeah. Okay, we did
That
that
actually
on
was pretty
camera.
good.
I know. I liked it. Could we start every episode like that?
Every other episode.
Thank you. Mark had a phone call, and so he it was one of those important phone calls that sometimes you have to take. So we're gonna kind of go over our salient points on movie franchises. Kind of got cut off. So Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I started panicking there for a minute. But basically, movie franchises, I was watching a trailer for the new, not Avengers, Captain America Civil War, and basically it's getting watered down. Like, it's like, I think you had just said, the market's oversaturated with these superhero movies, and it's just like, they're all the same, really.
It's a lot of the same, and
yeah, you've got clever dialogue and, good actors, decent storyline, good storyline, a lot of
there's
action.
people dying in the background. That's kind of like they
That
touch
nobody
on
cares
it.
about it,
They
per se.
touch on it in the shows, but it's just
Yeah.
like they don't really touch on it in the movies as much. And I respect that. Like there's a huge nerd culture out there. Comic book fans that are really getting something they've always dreamed of. But this approach, like obviously the big DC Marvel, they would be pumping their brakes already if they weren't getting the numbers. So it's a
Definitely.
business; they're getting the numbers, so they keep making more. But I think they should still start pumping their brakes. The reason is there will hit an oversaturation point where even the comic book fans are like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Like I had enough. I'm saturated, which is why I'm not going to see Deadpool. Like I don't care. How good it is as an R movie.
I mean, I
like
was saturated at the point of like the second Captain America movie, and even everyone was just like, "It's so good." I'm like, I don't really care.
It was-
like, I know exactly what's gonna happen.
it was good, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of like, all right, whatever, stuff's happening, and Chris
Yeah.
Evans wants out, and I can see why, because he doesn't want to, be stuck in this cycle, and maybe, they should have said like, all right, maybe we should put a year or and a half or 2 years between, the final Cap or this Cap, and eventually, yeah, Chris Evans gets out and he's had his time, or maybe he wouldn't have gotten sick of it. But
I
what
think we both just like to see franchises go in a slightly different direction. Like instead of
I like that they've created their own subgenre. Like now superheroes are a subgenre. And that's
Sure.
cool. And like it's kind of like zombies. Like you can have zombies there and it could be a romantic comedy like Zombieland.
they've done that plenty of times.
Yeah.
Or
And
Pride and Prejudice and zombies, like just a twist on something.
yeah, and I feel like you even kind of see this with Star Trek, where I had instead of Captain America, I think I had Star Trek Beyond, and I saw it and I was just like, man, I don't care. Like,
Yeah,
granted,
I have no ambition to see that one either, to be honest.
Granted, I think it's kind of like the bar is set low here, so that one might be very impressive, especially since JJ isn't helming it, and he, he can really oversaturate his movies. And, maybe it'll turn out to be impressive, but right now, like, these trailers are just like, we get it, like Star Trek characters, like music and Chris Pine might be 40, but he looks like he's 20, and he's like, I'm horny and want to go drink, and like that's just kind of how he comes across. But like friends, and it's just kind of like let's see him as an adult Kirk, like actual adult Kirk, and like acting like an adult, and let's stop being contrived.
Have some better character progression. Or
Oh,
something.
and since we're on it, Ghostbusters.
Oh my god. Oh, it looks awful.
I'm not even gonna go into it. There's already people
fair.
there's already people analyzing that trailer and ripping it apart, and it's kind of even racist. Or
Oh, yeah, I'm sure everyone's
stereotyping, or just like
Yeah.
like this is a New Yorker. Like
Yeah, like
I know New Yorkers that have more depth than that. You went
Yeah.
blurry. There we go. Okay, I did nothing. I was like, let me fix this, but
if you just can focus on my face for a minute, I'm gonna
Yeah.
turn my wife off. off my phone. That'll
There you
probably
go.
help a bit.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So yeah, moving forward, actually, I gotta go ahead and set everything back up. So
Yay.
one thing we actually missed when it comes to digital entertainment, and this came from House of Cards, was giant phones. There was this scene in House of Cards that I really wanted to touch on, and today when I was with my family, I was like, "Oh my god, that phone is giant! Oh yeah,
That's
Mr.
right.
President, you're a racist, and I'm an old woman with this giant phone next to my head."
Oh, that was
Like,
funny.
oh my, just I know this won't last long because there isn't much to say about it. Some people love them. Some people are just like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah.
But I really wanted to touch on that. So moving forward,
Big phones are just they're silly. They look weird.
I
Quit it.
I get it. Like, especially if you're someone who doesn't like to talk on the phone like me. But even still, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. It doesn't fit in my pocket. And I use a headset most of the time because I'm like, I don't like holding a high-powered receiver to my head and maybe giving myself cancer. So,
Well, it's nice to at least have two hands free too when you're also talking.
or jacking off, having two hands free can help with that.
That's
So,
all I really use it for.
so you want to talk
Tattoos.
about tattoos?
Just a little bit. This is part one of my long weekend. Actually, it's part two of my long weekend.
I think
I
this
just
is like part 10 of your long weekend.
kind of, yeah. Part one was part of St. Patty's Day, which is the next segment, not segment, next section of this segment. Topic. Yay, that's the word.
Topic 6.
Tattoos. I spent today about 3 hours, a little bit over 3 hours in a chair getting my back tattooed, and I am exhausted.
I feel
I'm
like
so tired.
I feel like this is something that could easily come up because you obviously have a tattoo, and
Yeah,
like someone
I've
someone would eventually be like, "Oh, guys, what do you think of tattoos? Like, I'm thinking about getting one, but I don't know." And that was and I get that, like you
mhm.
have a dilemma, but that is a very young mentality, and I think for the both of us, it's like I don't have tattoos, and I'm not getting any, and that's it. That's the end of it. And you have tattoos, and you've gotten tattoos, and it's just like I'm gonna get more tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, I
And it's,
first had my tattoo. I was first tattooed when I was 18, and since then it kind of, I don't want to say grew into an addiction, but I was just like, hey, that wasn't so bad. I'd like to expand on that, or like this separate other ideas. But I
it's
think it's really just, I get them for me. It's like, sure, yeah, it's visible, but it's not like, I'm going like, hey guys, look at this, like,
it's
yeah,
not that
tattoos.
big
It's just like I want
conundrum
these things.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
It's
I want new shoes. I'm gonna go buy new shoes.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just like the things I've have in my body I've wanted for a while. I've had the ideas in my head. I talk to the artist about it. We have a powwow, and I get it done. It's not like, should I get it? Do I need to, what do you think about it? What do you think about this? Like,
Yeah,
just do it.
so like we said, we reserve the right to maybe revisit some of these topics, but I think that
Mhm.
basically covers our opinion on it. We might eventually, if like a tattoo crisis happens,
Or if
but
people, do watch this or watch this later on, and they have questions, then
yeah,
yeah, I'll
if
be happy to discuss it.
and like
No problem with that.
being someone who does a lot of drawing art, I will happily weigh in on that topic.
Mhm.
Um,
Here we go.
but
Art.
like if yeah, like when it comes to tattoos, I think our opinions are pretty made up. I'm not getting any. You're getting more.
I will
Done.
always be getting.
And the final topic for the weekly ramble, as we've clearly rambled a bit, St. Patty's Day. You want to bring this up?
Yes. Yeah, Scott asked me earlier while I was in the chair. He's like, "You want to bring anything to the weekly?" I was like, "Tattoos, St. Patty's Day, and I forgot the other one was already." Anyways,
Movie franchises. You
movie
brought up.
franchise. That's right.
Yeah. And then you
yesterday
got
went
a
out
call.
for St. Patty's Day, and it was a good time. And then I'm going to a friend's house for another St. Patty's Day party next weekend, and it's just like, it seems anymore these are just great excuses to go out and drink with friends, which is kind of, it's okay, but I don't know. Part of me is just like, well, what's the real reason for this? Like, sure, I'm part Irish, but it's not like I've killed. It's not like I'm from
It's
Ireland.
as,
It's almost like
as you
it's very
brought
Americanized.
up with like Cinco de Mayo. We were
Exactly,
we were
Cinco de
kind of
Mayo.
doing our pre-show.
Hmm.
For me, yeah, it's definitely something I don't participate in. I have stomach issues. Drinking really makes that awful. And being outside it, I definitely see it, again as superfluous.
Hmm.
And it's very Americanized, where it's just like, it's just
Totally.
when you go out and you drink and then you fuck.
I only did
and
the first part. I didn't have any of the
and
second part last
maybe you
night.
don't do that second part, but like that's like the very American look of it, where it's just like when they make a college movie, there's like a party that's just absurd, and you're just like, that's not real. And
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, there's this like mentality to it. It's just like, you're gonna go have that night, and it's just like, you're not. You're not.
Oh, we both
Um,
had our good nights though too. I mean,
we've
shit,
had some
one of our favorite nights was St. Patty's weekend.
we've had
That
some
was a great
awesome
night.
nights, but that's not like something you put in a movie. We had
Yeah,
donuts
no,
thrown at
we were
us. That
throwing
was,
donuts off a
yeah.
balcony at people.
No,
That's
no, no. She was throwing donuts up to us.
I can never remember that.
Why do
You're
you
right.
always get that wrong?
I don't
Um,
know because
so
I think I've got gravity in my mind. And I can't think of like people who's like, "Hey, have donuts."
she was giving out donuts, to the
I
drunk
just feel
people.
like it'd be funny, just like, yeah, have a donut.
There may have come a time where we threw one that landed on the floor
It's
back
very
down,
possible.
but yeah, it's just like it. The way in which we celebrate these things doesn't exactly also respect their cultural heritage. Cinco de
Right.
Mayo being a day about the dead,
Or even like Memorial Day, 4th of July. It's
Memorial
like,
Day, National Cookout
yeah.
Day, and then
Um,
somebody gets really mad on Facebook and is just like, this is about fallen soldiers, and
mhm.
um, I think the general point in there is that these deserve a bit more respect, but the Americanized version is unfortunately not going anywhere, and
No, I just feel like people should. I don't want to say you need to like take time in your day and just be like, what happened to St.
no,
Patrick on
yeah,
this day?
yeah,
But at least try to, um,
it's not about
something
going out and boozing,
right. Come to your
and
senses and just be
yeah,
like, okay, there is another meaning to this. If it's Memorial Day, be like, okay, this is for veterans.
I
I'm not
mean,
saying you need to make a post about it, but also don't be offended or try to make something of it when people are like, I'm out getting drunk and barbecuing. Like, just people are gonna do their own thing and celebrate whatever holiday in their own way.
every
Uh,
holiday is going to have some measure of ignorance behind it, and
exactly.
you know. It's just going to be there. The holiday wouldn't be there without its original reason, its cultural heritage. But
Hmm.
also, yeah, try to de-Americanize sometimes. I guess I don't know.
Just think outside the usual box and try to, be reasonable and smart and just say, okay, this is for this holiday. I acknowledge that. Let's have a beer about it.
Hype train. This is one of the core segments of GSM, Great Scott Marcus, until we name it something else or we keep its name. And this is where we, talk about what we're getting pretty excited for. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not excited for much, Mark.
The other thing I'm really excited about anymore at this time is baseball. It's a spring season or spring training right now. Tigers are in Florida. I'm a huge Detroit Tigers fan. I'm sure once April hits, I'll probably talk about them quite a bit more once the season actually starts. But yeah, I mean that's really what I'm excited about. I'm a junkie when it comes to Detroit Tigers baseball, but not much to say about it yet because spring training doesn't really matter. But
Yeah,
coming
as usual, I'm excited for Warframe. They always have updates coming. There's a
soon.
decent update on the way for consoles. They haven't announced that they're basically in progress to getting it into cert for consoles. But man, so man, that was a trip over words. Daredevil season
Dude,
two
I do it
is
all the time. It's okay.
Daredevil season two is coming up out of nowhere. I had no idea it was dropping this week. You
I'm
mentioned,
really considering
yeah,
watching it.
the action, top notch, top
Well,
draw.
you showed
Um,
me that one scene. I think like what is it, episode 2 or 3?
oh,
Where
the
in
one
the
that was
hallway,
shot with one
one
consecutive,
take.
yeah, one take.
I'm
Oh,
getting
that
chills thinking about that because
it
I'm
was
just a
the
oh,
microwave.
it's like an
That's my
aesthetic
favorite part.
orgasm.
But as I've mentioned to you, and as a lot of people talk about when it comes to Daredevil season one, underwhelming closing. The suit was actually kind of a bit like, really. Like, I liked the mask better. Like,
Mhm.
so season two, loaded with characters. Bit concerned about that. And I guess I would like a lot of the flavor of the beginning of season one in season two, and so we'll see about that. I'm not going to actually go ahead and say I'm hyped, but I actually was thinking about March, and I was just like, there's a lot coming out.
Mhm.
And we killed off three of the things already. We did House of Cards. We're going to be getting. We're in the division. We're going to be getting to our report on the division, and then we're gonna cover 10 Cloverfield Lane in a moment here. And so, like, yeah, sure, Daredevil, and now it's kind of like, crap, we're going into a lull. So, yeah,
To be continued.
pretty much. So, this has been Great Scott Marcus, episode 3, part 1, and part 2 is coming up with our talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane. Full assessment, full spoilers, blah, blah. See you
All
then.
excites. Bye.